Tonight is a community service of the New York Institute of Technology.
Covering the news of Nassau and Suffolk County's Long Island News Tonight with Ken Eckhart, Carol Peck, and the award-winning LI News team.
Good evening, I'm Carol Peck. Here's what's happening. The Suffolk County District Attorney says the bodies found at Long Island barrier beaches are the work of at least 2 different killers. The remains of 10 people have been found since late last year, but the MOs of the victims differ. The DA says 4 bodies found at Gilgo Beach suffered the same injuries and appear to be the work of 1 killer. However, 2 other victims were dismembered and decapitated and have been linked to the remains of 2 women discovered in Manorville in 2000 and 2003. Officials say they also found the remains of an Asian male whose death is radically different from the others, and the body of a toddler who was found hasn't yet been declared a homicide. A difficult commute today for Long Island Railroad riders following this weekend's Amtrak derailment inside an East River tunnel. According to railroad officials, a 5-car equipment train derailed in one of the 4 tunnels that serves Long Island shortly after noon yesterday, causing extensive damage to as many as 200 railroad ties. LIRR President Helena Williams says there will be modified service today, tomorrow, and Wednesday while repairs are made. However, a railroad spokesperson says the LIRR hopes to have its regular schedule back on track by Thursday. 20 trains were canceled for this evening's rush, and similar cancellations are expected for the next couple of days. You can find a full list of canceled trains at www.mta.info. It used to be just too much TV. Now it's time spent playing video games, surfing the net, and texting. Experts say today's youth spends way too much time tied to technology. Tanya Carvalho reports on what some people are doing to cut the younger generation's overabundant screen time.
These families traded in their TVs and computers for a day of outdoor activities, including a petting zoo.
I'm just so hungry.
Yeah, they are a little hungry, huh?
And pony rides. Did you love riding the pony?
Yeah. I want to go on the penguin now.
As part of a local effort by the Early Years Institute and CA Technologies to encourage families to reduce screen time, a lesson this parent says starts at home.
We're the biggest role model for them, so if we're on the computer all the time and we're watching TV all the time, they're going to want to do the same behaviors that we do, so we have to monitor ourselves.
As for her son, he says giving up his TV time today isn't so bad after all. Are you having a good time?
Yes.
Research shows that people spend about half of their waking hours consuming media, whether it be watching television or using a cell phone. But the Early Years Institute says it's not about completely eliminating technology. It's all about finding a balance. And they say children learn by experiencing things.
By talking to people, by touching things, by interacting with other children, with interacting with nature. To do it by watching a television set is not helping them develop their little brains.
This outdoor event is part of a nationwide effort by the Campaign for Commercial-Free Childhood to reduce the amount of screen time children are being exposed to. In Islandia, Tanya Carvalho, LI News Tonight.
Years before the first symptoms of Alzheimer's become noticeable, the disease is already developing in individuals. But as Tara Evans reports, new diagnostic guidelines may help doctors detect the illness earlier, giving patients and their caregivers more time to come up with a treatment plan.
Alzheimer's disease can start in the brain as long as 20 years prior to the time we see any symptoms.
That's why Marianne Malak-Ragona of the Alzheimer's Association in Ronkonkoma says they're so encouraged about recent updates in Alzheimer's diagnostic criteria and guidelines, the first updates in 27 years. These changes will help physicians diagnose Alzheimer's earlier than ever before.
We'll be looking at things maybe even before anyone really realizes this person has Alzheimer's disease, so that we can get our arms around how we can treat it.
And she says this early detection of changes in cognitive efficiency could possibly lead to a cure in the future.
Researchers will have the ability to make some determinations on how they can slow down and maybe even prevent Alzheimer's disease.
The Alzheimer's Association says that 60,000 people across both Nassau and Suffolk counties currently suffer from Alzheimer's. And they say that these new criteria and guidelines that can help detect Alzheimer's earlier in patients can not only help the sufferers, but their families as well throughout the disease process.
A good plan could be put in place to address the changes that are going to occur over the next 10 to 15 years.
And that way families know what to expect as the disease progresses, and patients have access to treatments sooner.
And that's what this is all about, early intervention.
For more information, read the LI News Tonight blog. In Ronkonkoma, Tara Evans, LI News Tonight.
One of the reasons why many people move to Long Island is to get away from the city and move to a more country-like environment, perhaps even growing their own food. But experts say if we want that environment to last, we've got to get more involved in protecting it, as Stephanie Belazaire reports.
Farmers like this one in Nassau County are mostly vacant right now because it's still early in the season. But soon, farmers will be out again this summer planting the fields to offer Long Islanders fresh, locally grown crops.
You know, it's just really important for people to have access to locally grown food. It's healthier, it's better for our world.
But as Long Island continues to be built up, it's losing its farmlands. And here at the first annual Small Farm Summit in Old Westbury, farmers and local activists stress the importance of preserving the remaining farms so that people remember where food comes from and how it is grown.
We're constantly trying to help people understand the value of land and make the connection between food and water and air and all the things that are so important to a healthy way of life.
Lisa Ott, the president of the North Shore Land Alliance, says the Small Farm Summit is a project that unites individuals and organizations interested in food production, land use, and the connection between farmers and communities.
I think most of the people here really want to protect land. You know, on Long Island we've had so much development that farms are almost like boutiques. You know, farms are almost like museums. And there's a traditional way of thinking about farms where you had to have large acreage and horses and cows and barns and chickens. But what we're learning today, and particularly in semi-urban areas like ours, is that you can really grow food anywhere.
And Joel Stallentine says Long Island needs to revive its history as a small farm community to keep striving with the nation's local food movement. In Old Westbury, Stephanie Belazaire, LI News Tonight.
Stocks rose today as commodity-related shares rebounded, but worries remain over how much longer the recent rally will continue. The Dow closed up nearly 46 points. The Nasdaq closed up more than 15.5 points, and the S&P 500 ended the day more than 6 points higher. Stay with us. We'll have more news and weather right after this as NYIT's LI News Tonight continues. Here, three memoir authors share their stories at Three Short Women, Three Tall Tales at the Northport Public Library on Thursday, May 19th at 7:30 p.m. For more information, call 631-261-6930. There are 2 freshwater fishing clinics for junior anglers at Caleb Smith State Park Preserve in Smithtown on Saturday, May 21st. One is at 9 a.m., the other at 1 p.m. To reserve a spot, call 631-265-1054. Spend a little time at home with Ginger Rogers, a theatrical tribute and high tea at the Ward Melville Heritage Organization in Stony Brook on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 11:30 a.m. and Sundays at 12:30 p.m. through June 12th. No show on Memorial Day weekend. Advance reservations are required. For more information, call 631-689-5888. Or check out Spies, How Long Island Patriots Helped George Washington Win the Revolution. It's an interactive exhibit at the Three Village Historical Society in Setauket on Sundays in June from 1 till 4 p.m. For more information, call 631-751-3730. If you have an event you'd like included on the LI News Tonight community calendar, send it to linewstonight@nyit.edu.
Press play to start your future. Learn the industry. Use the technology. Become an expert in television reporting, journalism, radio, digital film, public relations and advertising, television production, digital graphics, a beautiful state-of-the-art campus, a road to the job you've always wanted, in the media capital of the world. Communication Arts at NYIT. When can you start?
More than 20 quarry workers were buried today in a landslide in South China. It's reported it happened around 1:30 this afternoon following a weekend storm that dumped nearly 4 inches of rain in the area. The quarry workers' makeshift dormitory was engulfed when the landslide came roaring down rain-soaked hills near the city of Guilin. Emergency workers are digging through the rubble to find the buried workers. In the region, heavy weekend rains forced the evacuation of 70 people from one village and left more than 100 travelers stranded at a countryside resort. In neighboring Guangdong province, flooding left 2 people missing and damaged hundreds of homes and a half-dozen bridges. Pakistan's prime minister says the army will investigate how al-Qaeda chief Osama bin Laden hid for years on his country's soil without being detected. Yusuf Raza Gilani made the comments during an address to Parliament today, a week after a raid by U.S. Navy SEALs in Abbottabad killed the terrorist mastermind. Gilani says bin Laden's death was proper justice. He rejected claims that Pakistani authorities were either incompetent in searching for bin Laden or complicit in hiding him, and he expressed full confidence in the country's armed forces and intelligence establishment. The UN Refugee Agency says it's received witness reports that a ship carrying up to 600 migrants trying to flee Libya sank off the coast of the North African country. A spokesperson says the agency is trying to confirm what happened to the passengers when the vessel broke apart at sea on Friday. Witnesses who departed on another boat a short time later reported seeing the ship broken apart and bodies floating in the water. The boat carrying those witnesses later arrived in Italy. Today, the refugee agency said at least 3 other boats that departed Libya in recent months, laden with migrants, never made it to Italy. A Long Island couple who has been paying commercial instead of residential utility rates on their home for more than a decade is trying to get a refund. But getting back all the extra money they paid isn't going to be easy. Newsday reports Robert and Elizabeth Rizzo of East Patchogue moved into a model home that had been used as their development sales office more than a decade ago. And when their utility bills came, they paid them. LIPA says the customer is partly to blame for the overpayment because it was their responsibility to make sure they were being charged the correct rate. And a public service law stipulates utilities only have to correct bills for the past 2 years. However, the utilities bylaws say it's LIPA's obligation to refund overpayments and interest for up to 6 years, and the Rizzos have filed an appeal with the utility to collect as much of the overpayment as possible. We had a mostly sunny day across the island with today's high in the upper 60s. Tonight, mostly clear with a low around 50. Tuesday, mostly sunny with a high in the mid-60s. Wednesday, partly cloudy with a high in the upper 60s. Thursday, partly cloudy with a high in the upper 60s. And the outlook for Friday, showers possible with a high in the mid-60s. And that's it for NYIT's LI News Tonight. I'm Carol Pack. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow. Have a good night.